Let's talk about the mathematical faultiness of the multiverse. In the multiverse, there's an infinite amount of individual parts or universes. We're going to see that's actually an impossibility. Think of it this way. Let's just say that we have an infinite amount of coins. What happens when you take away half of that amount? How much is that? Well, that's an infinite amount because fraction of an infinite is an infinite. So we take away an infinite amount and we're left with half. Also an infinite amount. Now what happens when you take that same infinite amount of coins and you take away all except 10? You take away an infinite amount. But this time you're not left with an infinite amount. You're left with 10. In both scenarios, we took away an infinite amount of coins, but we were left with different qualities. On one side, an infinite amount was left. On the other, 10 were left. This is mathematical faultiness. Now you might say, well, there's actually different sizes of infinity. I've been getting that a lot lately. Well, hold up. Infinity, that means that it just keeps going on forever. Now there's a difference between qualitative infinity and quantitative infinity. Qualitative infinity might mean that you could potentially divide something into infinity, meaning you could just keep going. For example, if you take a ruler between 1 inch and the 2-inch marker, you can always divide it in half, right? But that's a quality, not a quantity. You don't actually have an infinite amount of atoms in between those two markers. You might say the same with numbers. Sure, you could count towards infinity. Numbers could just keep adding up, right? But you don't actually have that many objects. You don't have that quantity. Thus, infinity is a quality, not a quantity. Think of it this way. Any point, if you count something, that's not actually infinity. That's a number. Let's just say we're expanding. Ooh, how many is that? You still have a number. It's not actually infinity. It's not vague. You keep on expanding. Okay, that's still a number. It's not infinity. It's not vague. You can count. Thus, you can't have an infinite amount of individual parts. If that's the case, and somehow this multiverse exists, it's not an infinite amount of universes. It's still a number of universes. And if that's the case, and universe is always being created, as you go back in time, if you go back far enough, you'll reach a point before the first universe was created. And that's an absolute beginning. So we see the multiverse can't dodge the question of fine-tuning and a beginning. We still need a creator and a fine-tuner. So that's another problem with multiverse theory. Stay tuned for the last and most absurd of the problems.